What's going on, everybody? It's Sunday. It's Mother's Day. It's the 10th of May, 2020. I am irritated today. Grumpy. I'm not angry. I'm grumpy. The difference is, as far as I'm concerned, when you're grumpy, you don't know what you're grumpy about. There's no reason to be grumpy. It's just a state of things. If I knew what it was about, I'd be angry. Like, oh, such and such did so and so to me, and now I'm pissed. That's angry. I wake up in the morning, everything's fine, nothing's gone wrong, I'm fucking angry. That's grumpy. It's different. So, I'm grumpy today. Everything's pissing me off. I don't know, man. I think sometimes that if I could shut my brain off, I wouldn't be so irritated. Which I've tried. Drank a lot. And it does help, actually. It does help. I'm generally not irritated when I'm drinking. Soothes the beast. But it doesn't last. I always sober up. And once I get sober, I start thinking about things again. Sometimes I get irritated. What I think about that irritates me the most is like a long time ago. I don't know if it was 10,000 years. I don't know if it was 15,000 years or if it was 6,000 years ago after our Lord created the planet. But a long time ago, we didn't have air conditioning. We didn't have cell phones, and we didn't have money or jobs. As far as I understand, we had loincloths and rocks and spears, and nobody was charging us rent. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we should go back to a tribal lifestyle. I don't think we should go back to being hunter-gatherers. But I think now that we've built this world-girdling civilization and we've got international transportation and space flight and YouTube and smartphones and vaccines, and we've conquered the planet, and none of the other monkeys get to live unless Homo sapiens say that they get to live, and none of the other large predators get to live unless Homo sapiens says they get to live. Now that our particular brand of monkey is in control of the world, and we don't really have to worry about bears eating us in our sleep, we need to look back at what we've lost. And I think, to me, there's primarily two main problems. There's two things that we've lost in building this civilization. And I can't stress this enough. We don't need to go back. I'm not saying that. I don't know for sure what the solution is, but we need a solution. And I think my process, the first part of finding a solution is, what do I want? What's wrong? Like, what do I want positive? What do I want to happen? What do I want to stop happening? And how do we get there from here? Okay? So sustains, right? If a little bit of army left over in my brain, no matter how hard I try to shake it, how much I drink, there's always going to be a little bit of army left in there. The after-action review of conquering the planet for humans. Okay? Sustains. Air conditioning, sustain, for sure. Let's keep that. Let's keep electricity. Let's keep smartphones. Let's keep the ability to travel internationally in a few short hours. Let's get rid of jobs. Let's get rid of having to work a third of your life, like a third of your day, for a fifth of your life, or for 4/5 of your life, for somebody else, for the average person, to have to spend 40 hours a week working for somebody else. Let's get rid of that. Okay? The reason why that exists, as far as I can tell, and what do I know? I'm a trickster and a fool. But the reason why jobs are a thing, as far as I can tell, is in a large part because of agriculture and because of rent. Now, back when all we had was spears to keep the bears from eating us, you could live wherever you wanted to, and nobody was going to charge you rent. Some point, somebody invented the concept of land ownership and started claiming the land and say, this is my land. If you want to live here, you're going to have to do something for me. And then money was invented, and it's all a lot more complicated than that, but you get the concept. If you look at our stone-throwing, spear-wielding ancestors versus us now, I keep making these hand gestures outside of the screen, and it's distracting me because you can't see it, but I can. Monkey gets distracted easy. Anyways, if you look at our ancestors, they could live, they could exist for free. You understand? Where are you going to go to exist for free? Because you need a place to be and you need food. Those are pretty much non-negotiable. I don't know how to exist outside of three-dimensional space without existing in three-dimensional space. It may very well be possible, and I hope that it is, but I don't know how to do it. Thus, I'm here in this overweight body, fucking making YouTube videos, trying to amuse myself, and hopefully some other monkeys will also be amused. But my point is, back in the day, which was a Wednesday, Dan Cook, back in the day, there was an ability to exist for free. There were plants you could eat. You could kill something and eat it. You could eat a plant, and you could live in a place. You can't do that now. Good luck living in a place and hunting for free. I'm not even talking about all of the advancements. I'm not talking about the air conditioning. I'm not talking about the electricity. I'm not talking about the smartphone, the international travel, all of which I take advantage of. And you, of course, you have to pay for that. But that's the shit. That's the reason why we're working more than our ancestors, is for the extra stuff that we have that they don't have. Now, that's fine, but I don't know. I was never given the option to opt out. Nobody ever said to me, hey man, check it out. You're 18, you're 21, you're 26, okay? You've lived in society. Now here's a continent over here that we haven't messed with, okay? Bears will eat you over there. But if you want to, you can grab a spear, or you know what? Even better, we'll give you a bolt-action rifle and 100 cartridges and a spear. And you can go over to that continent, which is unspoiled by mankind, and the only rule over there is that you're not allowed to build any permanent buildings. And you can go live in a hut and hunt your food and gather your food, and you can live that life. That's an option for you. Nobody ever gave me that option. It might be possible to find if I were to, I don't know. If I were to move somewhere, but I mean, it would take a large amount of research, and I'd have to figure it out. It might be possible, and believe me, I've been thinking about it. I'm not sure that I'm willing to give it up. I'm not sure. I probably wouldn't have taken the option, but I feel somehow ripped off because I was never asked, hey, do you want to be part of this society? Would you like to have to work in order to pay rent, in order to stay in this comfort? We've raised this standard of living to what it is, but there's only one way that it works, and that's based on people working jobs. And if people don't work these jobs, then they don't get paid. If they don't get paid, they can't pay rent. Would you like to be part of this system, or would you like to go live in the wilderness? I was never given that option. Which, as I say this, I realize that the option probably exists, but it's well hidden. And also, if I had been born 6, 10, or 15,000 years ago, whichever theory that you go with, somebody would have taught me how to hunt and what plants will kill you if you eat them. Okay, so I'd have to figure all that shit out from scratch. That's not the point. The point is, a long time ago, food used to be free. I mean, you had to hunt it down or you had to dig it up. Food was free. And a place to stay was free. It wasn't as nice. You couldn't go to Fuddruckers or In-N-Out Burger, but, you know, there were fruit trees and there were root vegetables, I guess. I don't know. I don't know as much about foraging as I wish that I did. I was actually going to take a class on it this year, but then life happened. And if anybody doesn't relate to this, my life didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go 6 months ago. Things have gone slightly sideways. It's fine, but it's not what I expected. Yeah, man, I was going to go to this like survival course and learn about foraging and stuff. It was going to be great. But that didn't happen, so maybe we'll have to do it next year or whatever. Anyway, the point is, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't subscribe. Ascribe? There's a scribe in it. I don't scribe about the noble savage theory. I don't think that tribalism, like in hunter-gatherer societies, are better. I think it's a trade-off, and I think we've lost some noticeable things. One of the things that I didn't mention that we've lost is community. I don't want to say that I don't have any friends, because I have friends, and I chose to move out here. I don't have anybody to hang out with right now, okay? And I'm not, like, there's a loneliness epidemic in this country. That's a fact. There's a lot of lonely people. There's more people on this planet than there, as far as we know, than there ever have been. And yet there's a loneliness epidemic. Our society is broken in a lot of ways. It works in a lot of ways. Like I said, produce space travel. So, you know, like, things are good. Like vaccines and safe space travel, I'm all about. But I think it's time that we took a look at the fact that we've lost community and that we all have to work so much just to survive. And that, like, okay, so if I decided to kill myself and work 80 hours a week, you know, this year, and then I put that money in the bank and I didn't touch it, 10 years from now it would be worth less than it is now. I know you can invest it and you can make your money make money, but the point is, I can't just stuff my money in a mattress and it's there, it's good. The thing that I've earned is melting due to inflation. That's not right. It's messed up. I think it's time that we address some of these things, man. Like, rent is part of the problem. Having to buy food is part of the problem. Okay? The ship may have sailed on agriculture, okay? Because, you know, we've turned a lot of the world that used to just naturally produce food into farmland, which produces, you know, specific plants that we've decided. You know, we've taken responsibility for what grows out of the ground. For better or worse, it's our problem now because we've taken control of that. The ground used to grow whatever it grew. And we decided that we wanted to... Obviously, you weren't there, right? This happened a long time ago. I wasn't there either. But our ancestors decided that we wanted the ground to produce what we wanted it to produce. You know, the plants that we like to eat. And it's not what it used to be. So I don't know. I don't know what the solution is on food, for sure. Who's kidding who? I don't know what the solution for any of this is. But I think we need to look at the fact that you have to pay for food and the fact that you have to pay for rent. And I'm not suggesting that, you know, anything that you guys are going to get angry about me suggesting is wrong, because I'm not suggesting anything. I'm suggesting that it is a problem and that we should look at it, right? So that's what's been on my mind lately. I think the three of the biggest problems that we have, community, I think the loss of community, I think people are aware of. And I think people are looking at that. I haven't really, I don't know. I don't know if people are looking at it. Some people are looking at it. But I think that, I guess the common it's not like there aren't any other problems, because there's plenty of other problems. But the common thread with these three problems, maybe these are my problems because they bother me, right? Like if you listen to Jordan Peterson, he talks about that. He talks about, straighten your life out, and then once you got your life straightened out, how do you figure out what to fix in the world? He says something along the lines of, like find something that bothers you, and maybe that's your problem because, that's the problem that bothers you. So that's the thing that you should fix. So if you get rid of the distractions, the small things, the disorganized workspace and whatever, and you got room to think clearly, it's not hard to look around and see things that bother you. You find something that bothers you, that's the thing that you should fix, I guess. So maybe these are my problems. That's one thread that they have in common. Another thing that they have in common is that I think that they're problems that aren't, it's not just that they're not being addressed, it's that people accept them as necessary, like, it just has to be this way. This is our reality. Well, no, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be that way. The only reason that people have to pay rent is because we have put a system in place where you have to pay rent. If the world, if all of a sudden everybody but you in the world disappeared, you wouldn't have to pay rent. It's not a natural law that you have to pay rent. It's a system that was developed for us to cooperate together. Okay? I don't think it's a good system. I think that paying rent is part of the problem. Having to pay rent is part of the problem. And I think that having to pay for food is part of the problem. I don't know how we fix it. But I'm going to think about it. I'm going to get back to you. When I come up with a solution, I will let you know. I don't have one yet. I think that part of my solution, like homesteading, that's a good deal, but it's not going to do much for anybody but me. So I guess that might be a good step one. Get it so that I don't have to pay rent and I don't have to pay for food. Step one. And step two, I don't know, be easier to see once step one is done. As far as the rent part is concerned, like I very much plan on owning rental properties at some point. Okay? Which I had a struggle about this. I thought about it and I was like, when it came to the conclusion that rent was part of the problem, I had this struggle. I'm like, well, dude, your plan for getting out of the rat race, talking to myself, is to buy up some rental properties and then charge rent. So, if rent's part of the problem, you really want to be a landlord? And it was a struggle. But I finally managed to justify it to myself. I came to the conclusion that if I don't own those properties, somebody else is going to own them. So my tertiary means third, like primary, secondary, tertiary. I don't know why I said tertiary. I guess my solution right now is, like, who's kidding who? I'm selfish. I think that that's the right way to be. I think you should be selfish. I think everybody should take care of themselves first. If everybody took care of themselves, everybody would have at least one person taking care of them. You can't fill from an empty vessel, is another way to say it. I definitely believe in taking care of myself first. There's a difference between being selfish and being greedy. And I think a solid dose of selfishness is called for. Uh, lost my train of thought. Rent. I was talking about rent. So I guess my plan is I'm still going to try to get these rental properties, right? But I figure it's going to take a certain amount of rental properties to sustain my needs. Once I have that number, I'm not going to stop buying properties. But wait a second. Didn't you just say that greed was bad, even though selfishness is okay? I did. Here's the thing. If I need, let's just say I needed $100,000. These aren't the right numbers. These are just round numbers for the ease of math. It's much less than that. Let's say I needed $100,000 a year for rent. Okay, so I get 10 properties and I charge $10,000 a year for rent per property. So that comes out to like a little over $800 a month for each of my units. I buy property number 11. Now I have 11 properties. I still only need $100,000 a year to get by, or to live the lifestyle that I am accustomed to, or whatever it is. But now I can get that from my 11 properties. So instead of the rent going up like it does for most people, I now charge, what would it be, like $9,900 per property per year, give or take. That's not the right, that math is not quite right, but I'm not trying to really figure it out perfectly in my head. The point is, an 11th of 100,000 is all that I would charge, and so then I get property 12, and I only need to charge a 12th, and so on and so forth. Eventually, I could own enough properties that I could bring the price down, and you'd be paying next to nothing, you know. I'd still make a nice little profit. I still get my stuff, you know, paid for, and all I have to do is manage the properties, you know, manage the upkeep and collect the rent. And I feel like that's justifiable, rather than just making millions of dollars off the backs of working class people, which is, I think, what, not people that have like one or two properties, but people that own like apartment complexes, and they're generally just making a living off the backs of working class people, and I don't agree with that. So that was my solution. Don't know. I own one property, and it's not in any kind of shape to rent out. So there's a long way to go before I can start lowering the rent. I'd have to get a renter first, get some more properties, and so on and so forth. But yeah, man, that's what's been on my mind. I'm a lot less angry than I was when I started. So thanks for listening.